troubling.
They rented this house right here and 3 days later she was murdered.
When news is for common man.
We are asking you for the Aam Aadmi that why the proper checks and balances were not done, sir.
When news is for nation.
Right now, I'm just few meters away from Pakistani post, which is acting as launch pads for terrorists.
When news is exclusive.
We are reporting from few miles away from the line of actual control.
We report from ground zero. Times now. Action begins here.
Explosive, exclusive and beyond.
The show that gets you the inside track.
A deep dive into stories that matter.
Raising questions you won't ask.
Your voice is now our voice. Watch Blueprint with me, Meghna,
And Pranesh,
at 6:30 p.m. every weekday.
only on Times Now.
When journalism is led by integrity and when experience meets passion, there is no scope for half-truths. When the noise drowns out the truth and many lose sight of what is the real issue.
I ask the legitimate question and uncover the whole truth.
Don't tax the poor people who are using petrol, diesel to go to work or to send their children to school.
I give you the complete picture in black and white, not a colored opinion, facts that help you form your opinion.
The News Hour at 9. Weeknights at 9. Only on Times Now.
She asks tough questions like no other journalist.
आपके ऊपर तो कई घोटालों के भी आजकल आरोप लग रहे हैं। देश में सिर्फ एक बात की चर्चा है कि क्या बीजेपी राहुल गांधी से डर गई।
She takes on the masters of Indian politics like no one else can.
विपक्ष कम से कम उत्तर प्रदेश में ये कह रहा है कि आप हवा बना रहे हैं, निवेश कोई आया ही नहीं इस राज्य में। राहुल गांधी का कहना है कि देश में लोकतंत्र मरता जा रहा है, खतरे में है।
Because she speaks for you the way no one else can.
What about the charges against the government that this is a favored company by the government? How do you look at India on the world map of countries to watch out?
Because your voice must be heard, your questions answered, above all else. Frankly Speaking with Navika Kumar.
Can I have your attention please? क्या आप दिन की सही शुरुआत ढूंढ रहे हैं? I believe in an action-packed, fast-paced, agenda-setting start to the day. खबर सिर्फ दिखाना नहीं, असर होना भी जरूरी है. I'm Amita Badwa. I'm Pratibha Tehusha Malhotra and you're watching the Morning News Hour.
Welcome back in news just coming in at the game of hide and seek that started earlier with Hemant Soren finally being arrested yesterday night. He's now going to be presented in court around 1:30 p.m. and we are told that the security has been hiked all around the makeshift jail where Hemant Soren has been kept and outside court as well. CRPF has been brought in. Priyank is joining us live. Yes, Priyank, give us the latest.
Yes, Sati Padmaja, it's just a matter of few hours before Hemant Soren will be taken away from the AD headquarters to the district court. While the petition which was moved by the laws of Hemant Soren, which is related to the arrest of Hemant Soren, will be heard at the High Court at around 10:30. Right now, Hemant Soren is still kept inside this ED headquarters. We have not seen that senior officials could have arrived here, which means that the questioning of Hemant Soren is yet to start. We are yet to know that whether he will be questioned here at what time. But looking at the movement here, Padmaja, it's quite clear that he is not being questioned since morning. Last evening at around 11:30, we saw his wife and his son moving out of this particular office of Enforcement Directorate. The Solicitor General of the state government was also present here and he left after the formality of the arrest was actually completed. The security staff of the CM Secretariat was also present here. But right now what we can see that the paramilitary forces have been deployed along with the state administration police officers who are guarding this particular office where Hemant Soren has been placed. There was a call of Bandh which was made viral on social media platform which has been denied by the JMM. But it is also important to be seen that what will be the time given by the governor for the swearing in for the new chief minister.
Well, clearly, of course, not taking any chances given what we've seen in the past take place in Ranchi. Priyank, thanks so much for bringing us that quick update. We'll keep coming back to you as the developments keep coming in from Ranchi. For the moment, slipping into a very quick break.
When journalism is led by integrity and when experience meets passion, there is no scope for half-truths. When the noise drowns out the truth and many lose sight of what is the real issue.
I ask the legitimate question and uncover the whole truth.
Don't tax the poor people who are using petrol, diesel to go to work or to send their children to school.
I give you the complete picture in black and white, not a colored opinion, facts that help you form your opinion.
The News Hour at 9. Weeknights at 9. Only on Times Now.
She asks tough questions like no other journalist.
आपके ऊपर तो कई घोटालों के भी आजकल आरोप लग रहे हैं। देश में सिर्फ एक बात की चर्चा है कि क्या बीजेपी राहुल गांधी से डर गई।
She takes on the masters of Indian politics like no one else can.
विपक्ष कम से कम उत्तर प्रदेश में ये कह रहा है कि आप हवा बना रहे हैं, निवेश कोई आया ही नहीं इस राज्य में। राहुल गांधी का कहना है कि देश में लोकतंत्र मरता जा रहा है, खतरे में है।
Because she speaks for you the way no one else can.
What about the charges against the government that this is a favored company by the government? How do you look at India on the world map of countries to watch out?
Because your voice must be heard, your questions answered, above all else. Frankly speaking, with Navika Kumar.
Can I have your attention please? क्या आप दिन की सही शुरुआत ढूंढ रहे हैं? I believe in an action-packed, fast-paced, agenda-setting start to the day. खबर सिर्फ दिखाना नहीं, असर होना भी जरूरी है. I'm Amita Badwa. I'm Pratibha Tehusha Malhotra and you're watching the Morning News Hour. Whenever news breaks, you will see us. Process it, analyze it, and broadcast it. After the spot reporters, we are the first responders. We are at the front line
Of every news event.
We are situation analysts, raw, live, and unedited. Pure news, pure passion.
Times Now. Action begins here. When news is troubling.
They rented this house right here and 3 days later she was murdered.
When news is for common man.
We are asking you for the Aam Aadmi that why the proper checks and balances were not done, sir.
When news is for nation.
Right now, I'm just few meters away from Pakistani post which is acting as launch pads for terrorists.
When news is exclusive.
We are reporting from few miles away from the line of factual control.
We report from ground zero. Times Now. Action begins here.
Explosive, exclusive, and beyond.
The show that gets you the inside track.
A deep dive into stories that matter.
Raising questions you won't ask.
Your voice is now our voice. Watch Blueprint with me, Meghna,
And Pranesh,
at 6:30 p.m. every weekday.
only on Times Now.
When journalism is led by integrity and when experience meets passion, there is no scope for half-truths. When the noise drowns out the truth and many lose sight of what is the real issue.
I ask the legitimate question and uncover the whole truth.
Don't tax the poor people who are using petrol, diesel to go to work or to send their children to school.
I give you the complete picture in black and white, not a colored opinion, facts that help you form your opinion.
The News Hour at 9. Weeknights at 9. Only on Times Now.
She asks tough questions like no other journalist.
आपके ऊपर तो कई घोटालों के भी आजकल आरोप लग रहे हैं। देश में सिर्फ एक बात की चर्चा है कि क्या बीजेपी राहुल गांधी से डर गई।
She takes on the masters of Indian politics like no one else can.
विपक्ष कम से कम उत्तर प्रदेश में ये कह रहा है कि आप हवा बना रहे हैं, निवेश कोई आया ही नहीं इस राज्य में। राहुल गांधी का कहना है कि देश में लोकतंत्र मरता जा रहा है, खतरे में है।
Because she speaks for you the way no one else can.
What about the charges against the government that this is a favored company by the government? How do you look at India on the world map of countries to watch out?
Because your voice must be heard, your questions answered. Above
Interim Budget of 2024 as Nirmala Sitharaman reaches North Block. She has left for Rashtrapati Bhavan. Will Modi government provide further booster dose to pump prime growth?
Puja starts in Gyanvapi's Vyasji ka tehkhana. After 31 years, devotees reach early morning after administration removes barricades for the puja to take place.
Chairman Chief Asaduddin Owaisi indulges in fear-mongering after court allows puja in Gyanvapi. Seller says there could be a repeat of December's 6 event.
Hemant Soren will be produced before an ED court today. Jharkhand Chief Minister was arrested yesterday. The ED questioned him over 7 hours in connection with the land scam.
Hemant Soren shifted to makeshift jail. BJP says it's now payback time, even as tribal outfits call for a Jharkhand Bandh. Kiran Rijiju reply says being tribal is no guarantee for being allowed to be corrupt.
The couplet posted on social media following the arrest. Hemant Soren says that he wrote that life is a battle and that he will fight every moment but not beg for compromise.
Champai Soren named as the successor of Hemant Soren after he steps down as Jharkhand CM.
Congress calls ED action Hemant Soren a part of BJP's toolkit to intimidate non-BJP governments and sabotage democracy.
Hours before interim budget, LPG price for a 19 kg cylinder hiked by 14 rupees. Commercial LPG cylinder will now cost 1,755.
And the traditional pre-budget activities have begun. The finance minister just left from North Block with her budget Bhai Khata. Meanwhile, the cabinet ministers have begun to arrive at the new Sansad Bhavan, which will witness a budget for the very first time. Very soon, as the finance minister begins her budget speech, which will be the final budget of the Modi government 2.0, we will have more big announcements that are expected.
The markets naturally are expectant. They have opened in the green before the budget and the stage is set. There is the finance minister who, by the way, has made a record 5 full budgets, and then she has got an interim budget. This is the largest number of budgets presented by anyone after Morarji Desai. Every indication is that this budget will allow the government to put the spotlight for the 10 years of the work that they have done. Speaking yesterday before the budget session, Prime Minister expressed confidence that this government has put India on the right path and today's budget will keep us there.
पहले तो ये हमें ध्यान में रखना है कि ये वोट ऑन अकाउंट है। पूरा बजट है वो चुनाव के बाद जून में या जुलाई में आएगा, तो तब तक के खर्च के लिए। तो इसमें जो है बहुत ज़्यादा कदम नहीं होते हैं, क्योंकि अर्थव्यवस्था जो है काफ़ी अच्छी स्थिति में है। 7.3% का जो विकास दर है वो आने की संभावना है। तो मेरे अनुसार सरकार जो है पिछले सालों में जो की है उसी को आगे बढ़ाएगी। फीमेल्स के लिए कुछ हो सकता है। ओवरऑल मैं ये देखता हूँ, मेरा अनुमान है कि एक्चुअली जो अच्छे कदम लिए गए हैं पिछले सालों में उन्हीं को दोहराया जाएगा।
ये बजट सत्र अवसर है, पश्चाताप का भी अवसर है, कुछ अच्छे फुटप्रिंट छोड़ने का भी अवसर है। तो मैं ऐसे सभी माननीय सांसदों से आग्रह करूंगा कि आप इस अवसर को जाने मत दीजिए, उत्तम से उत्तम परफॉर्म कीजिए, देश हित में उत्तम से उत्तम अपने विचारों का लाभ सदन को दें और देश को भी उत्साह और उमंग से भर दें। मुझे विश्वास है आप तो जानते ही हैं कि जब चुनाव का समय निकट होता है तब आमतौर पर पूर्ण बजट नहीं रखा जाता है। हम भी उसी परंपरा का निर्वाह करते हुए पूर्ण बजट नई सरकार बनने के बाद आपके समक्ष लेकर के आएंगे।
I think infrastructure has to be a key focus. India has been lagging in infrastructure, and over the last couple of years we have seen that this current government has put in a lot. We have seen a lot of projects which have come to fruition in this year itself, and many more which are in the pipeline will be implemented. So I think that is going to be a constant infrastructure investment, because infrastructure creates so many other opportunities. It creates investment, it creates employment, plus it develops the area around the infrastructure development. So I think that that's an area we are going to see, and it's for the betterment of the country, and it's an all-round growth. I mean, it's not going to favor any particular state or any particular region. It's growth for the country. So I don't see any letdown in that.
Sorry. In past 10 years, we have seen this government has focused a lot on infrastructure, education, innovation and other things. So what are the key sectors which government should focus this year?
I think infrastructure has to be a key focus. India has been...
All right, our experts here in the studio with us who will help us decode the budget speech. We are also joined by Sujit Kumar, Rajya Sabha MP of the BJD, Mohammad Tariq Khan of the Samajwadi Party, and Tehseen Poonawala, political analyst. But I just want to take a moment and focus on Nirmala Sitharaman. She's been at the receiving end of a lot of flack, but here she is making a record by presenting the budget yet again. If, Mr. Sujit Kumar, you had to point out to three things that you think would be the legacy of Nirmala Sitharaman as finance minister, what would they be?
Good morning. We certainly should not forget that this is an interim budget, and the focus of finance minister will be on continuity of policies, on maintaining the growth momentum, which is over 7%, 7.3 to be precise for FY 23-24, and to maintain the macroeconomic stability. But this being an election year, the government will not let go of the opportunity to highlight its achievements of the last 10 years and to signal to its constituency that this is a pro-poor government, this is a pro-farmer government, this is a pro-youth, pro-women government. In fact, Honorable President in her address yesterday also spoke of these 4 priorities of the Prime Minister: farmers, poor, youth and women, and rightly so. So if I were to pinpoint 3 achievements of Honorable Finance Minister over the last 5 years, one would certainly be her focus on capital expenditure, infrastructure. Last year she allocated over 10 lakh crores. And we all know this spend on infrastructure has massive trickle-down effect, whether it's generating employment, investment, or overall development of the region. Number 2 would be the focus on green growth. Last year, the National Hydrogen Mission got an allocation of over 20,000, close to 20,000 crore. Prime Minister has often articulated his goal of net zero by 2070. He is a great champion of green growth. We saw that in the G20 as well. And over 35,000 crore has been allocated for achieving these net zero goals. So this would be the second legacy of the finance minister. And thirdly, I think, well, I wouldn't say it's a legacy because I expected more, but this government has certainly done more for education and for research than the previous governments, but dil mange more. Even today, as a nation, we spend less than 0.7% of our GDP on R&D, which is much less than what China, South Korea, Israel, US spend. And if we want to become a Vishwaguru or a developed nation by 2047, we all will agree that we cannot become a developed nation by 2047 unless we focus on R&D. So I expect at least 2% of our GDP to be spent on R&D and at least 6% of our GDP to be spent on education.
All right. Mr. Sujit Kumar, please stay with us. There's some breaking news coming in. The BJP has launched a pre-budget poster attack on the Congress, contrasting direct tax collections under the Modi government versus the previous UPA regime. The BJP highlights that direct tax collections in FY 2023 were over 16 lakh crores, while in the last year of the UPA it was 6 lakh crores. The BJP says the difference between good governance and bad governance is clear. Let's get in a quick word from BJP National Spokesperson Shehzad Poonawalla, who's with us here in the studio. Shehzad, is this going to be one of the issues that you're going to be taking to the people? It appears so, given the fact that this poster has been tweeted out.
You see, direct tax collection increasing is always a sign of confidence in the government and the fact that the government, whatever money it is collecting from the taxpayers, is being spent effectively, efficiently and accountably. And let me just give you one data point. The tax to GDP, direct tax to GDP ratio has increased from 5.62% to 6.11%, even though our GDP has gone from 10th to 5th position. It's gone from $2 trillion to almost $4 trillion. So it's become bigger in both size and proportion. Secondly, also 30 lakh crores of money that has been spent directly to the poor. There was once upon a time a Prime Minister who said that if I send 1 rupee to the people, 85 paise is gobbled up by a Lutera Panja. But today when it is sent through DBT and JAM Trinity, Jandan account, Aadhaar and mobile phone Trishanku, then it reaches the beneficiary directly. Now let me tell you something about the budget. This budget is basically on 2 factors we have focused on over the last 10 years if you see the economic handling of the country. Gita and Gyan. And I know Gita will get many people to smoke their ears smoky. Gita means growth, infrastructure, innovation, technology and Atmanirbharta. Let me tell you about growth. 7.5% GDP growth rate. Some people will dispute the numbers, but never before has the IMF also said that we are the largest growing, fastest economy. The fact of the matter is that we've overtaken United Kingdom, our colonial masters, and become the 5th largest economy. The fact of the matter is that today infrastructure and innovation, we are spending 10 lakh crores on infrastructure, doubling the rate at which highways are made, doubling the rate at which metros are made. The fact is we are spending technology. Is now a digital Setu has been created. Look at the UPI infrastructure or the digital payment infrastructure and digital interface also not just in private sector but also in the delivery of public services including CoWIN app, etc. And A for Atmanirbharta, just give you one example of this. We used to only get 600 crores as exports of defense. Today it's 16,000 crores. The toy market, for instance, was completely dependent on Chinese imports. Today that has been cut down by 70% and today we are buying our own toys. We've gone from 2 mobile phone manufacturing companies, assembling companies to 200. Now let me tell you, because somebody was contesting about the steps taken for Garib, because out of Gyan, G stands for Garib. We have spent 22.5 lakh crore rupees on social spending in the last 8-9 years compared to 6.5 lakh crores. Those who are doubting the 25 crore people being pulled out of multidimensional poverty, here are a few more indices which can't be disputed. 36% of those who are filing their income taxes in the lowest income group have now left that income group and shifted upwards. The income disparity of people earning less than 3.5 lakh rupees has come down from 31% to 15%. India's Gini coefficient, which measures our income inequality, has reduced from 0.47 to 0.402. And even if you take the World Bank Gini coefficient, it's come down from 35.7 to 34.2. The fact of the matter is that today the Garib, let me give you another example. You know, the average amount of electricity that rural households got was 12 hours. Today it's 22 hours. The fact is that Jan Aushadhi Kendra now has made the prices of medicines cheaper by 100 to 200%. The toilet that has come into households, 12 crore toilets, each household is saving 70,000 rupees because the health expenditure has gone down. Nal Se Jal has ensured in time saving and also saving on health expenditure.
Shehzad, we're going to come to all of these issues one by one because there are many topics to discuss.
You know, just one last
many topics to discuss. We have to take a very quick break. There are other panelists also. We have to get in a response as well. But for the moment, slipping into a quick break, we'll come back to the others in just a few moments.
When journalism is led by integrity and when experience meets passion, there is no scope for half-truths. When the noise drowns out the truth and many lose sight of what is the real issue.
I ask the legitimate question and uncover the whole truth.
Don't tax the poor people who are using petrol, diesel to go to work or to send their children to school.
I give you the complete picture in black and white, not a colored opinion, facts that help you form your opinion.
The News Hour at 9. Weeknights at 9. Only on Times Now.
She asks tough questions like no other journalist.
आपके ऊपर तो कई घोटालों के भी आजकल आरोप लग रहे हैं. देश में सिर्फ एक बात की चर्चा है कि क्या बीजेपी राहुल गांधी से कर गई।
She takes on the masters of Indian politics like no one else can.
विपक्ष कम से कम उत्तर प्रदेश में ये कह रहा है कि आप हवा बना रहे हैं, निवेश कोई आया ही नहीं इस राज्य में। राहुल गांधी का कहना है कि देश में लोकतंत्र मरता जा रहा है, खतरे में है।
Because she speaks for you the way no one else can.
What about the charges against the government that this is a favored company by the government? How do you look at India on the world map of countries to watch out?
Because your voice must be heard, your questions answered above all else. Frankly speaking with Navika Kumar.
Can I have your attention please? क्या आप दिन की सही शुरुआत ढूंढ रहे हैं? I believe in an action-packed, fast-paced, agenda-setting start to the day. खबर सिर्फ दिखाना नहीं, असर होना भी जरूरी है। I'm Amita Badwa. I'm Pratibha. मैं हूँ शिखा मल्होत्रा and you're watching the Morning News Hour. Whenever news breaks, you will see us. Process it, analyze it, and broadcast it. After the spot reporters, we are the first responders. We are at the front line
of every news event. We are situation analysts, raw, live, and unedited. Pure news, pure passion.
Times now, action begins here.
When news is troubling.
They rented this house right here and 3 days later she was murdered.
When news is for common man.
We are asking you for the Aam Aadmi that why the proper checks and balances were not done, sir.
When news is for nation.
Right now I'm just few meters away from Pakistani post which is acting as launch pads for terrorists.
When news is exclusive.
We are reporting from few miles away from the line of factual control.
We report from ground zero. Times now. Action begins here.
Explosive, exclusive, and beyond.
The show that gets you the inside track.
A deep dive into stories that matter.
Raising questions you won't ask.
Your voice is now our voice. Watch Blueprint with me, Meghna,
And Pranesh.
at 6:30 p.m. every weekday.
Only on Times Now.
When journalism is led by integrity and when experience meets passion, there is no scope for half-truths. When the noise drowns out the truth and many lose sight of what is the real issue.
I ask the legitimate question and uncover the whole truth.
Don't tax the poor people who are using petrol, diesel to go to work or to send their children to school.
I give you the complete picture in black and white, not a colored opinion, facts that help you form your opinion.
The News Hour at 9. Weeknights at 9. Only on Times Now.
She asks tough questions like no other journalist.
आपके ऊपर तो कई घोटालों के भी आजकल आरोप लग रहे हैं। देश में सिर्फ एक बात की चर्चा है कि क्या बीजेपी राहुल गांधी से डर गई?
She takes on the masters of Indian politics like
Seconds, the Vyas Ji ka Tehkhana, a cellar within the Gyanvapi mosque complex, remained closed off. But today, 12 hours after the Varanasi court's order, the barricades to the cellar were removed early this morning as devotees performed the first puja in the cellar. Har Har Mahadev chants echoed, celebrating a victory for their religious rights. Late last night, the district administration in fact swung into action to remove the barricades, making way for Hindus to perform puja and offer prayers. Ashutosh is with us from the location at the moment. Ashutosh, I believe you have the petitioner with you. Kya kehne hai is waqt? What are we expecting? Harish Nair also joining us on the broadcast. What's happening at the moment? Are the pujas still underway? Kya chal raha hai wahan pe? Ashutosh.
बिल्कुल देखिए माधव जी, 31 सालों के बाद अब ज्ञानवापी मस्जिद के अंदर वेद मंत्रों की ऋचाएं गूंज रही हैं, घंटे घड़ियाल की आवाज सुनाई पड़ रही है। तो निश्चित तौर पे हिंदू पक्ष के लिए एक सबसे खुशी का लम्हा है और इसी खुशी को लम्हे के लिए जो सेलिब्रेट करने के लिए जो महिला पक्ष हैं वो यहाँ पर पहुंची है और अब से कुछ देर बाद ये सभी लोग महादेव के दर्शन करेंगे। सीता साहू जी हैं, महिला याचिकाकर्ता, जिन्होंने सबसे पहले माँ श्रृंगार गौरी के नियमित दर्शन पूजन को लेकर एक याचिका दाखिल की थी। कितना खुशी का लम्हा है, 31 सालों के बाद ज्ञानवापी मस्जिद के अंदर वैदिक जो मंत्र हैं वो गूंज रहे हैं।
मैं पहले ही बोल चुकी हूँ कि बेहद खुशी की अनुभूति हो रही है, इतना खुशी हो रहा है मन को। अब तो एक ही प्रार्थना महादेव से है कि जल्द नंदी जी की भी प्रतीक्षा पूरी करिए। हम लोग को दर्शन करने जा रहे हैं, हम लोग दर्शन कर रहे हैं माँ गौरा का, महादेव का। अब नंदी जी की भी प्रतीक्षा पूरी होनी चाहिए, बरसों से इंतजार कर रहे हैं वो, तो बहुत ही खुशी।
बरसों से इंतजार कर रहे हैं। दीपक जी पक्षकार भी हैं हिंदू पक्ष की ओर से, क्या कहेंगे? 31 सालों का जो एक संघर्ष था वो पूरा हुआ व्यास जी के परिवार का, और अब ज्ञानवापी मस्जिद के अंदर जो वैदिक मंत्र हैं वो गूंज रहे हैं, घंटे घड़ियाल की आवाज सुनाई पड़ रही है, तो कितनी बड़ी कामयाबी है आप लोग के लिए?
जी जी, बहुत बड़ी कामयाबी है, लेकिन ये कामयाबी की अभी प्रथम सीढ़ी है, ये प्रथम बिंदु है। अभी ये हमारा शुरुआती स्टेज है। जो हम लोगों ने, हमारी 4 बहनों की तरफ से मुकदमा दायर किया गया था, इसका ये प्रथम स्टेज है जो है। अभी हमारा उसमें वजू खाना बाकी है, हमारे आराध्य अभी शिवलिंग आदि विश्वेश्वर बाकी है, अभी माँ श्रृंगार गौरी का स्थान बाकी है, जिस जगह के लिए हम लोगों के एप्लीकेशन वहाँ पड़े हुए हैं। अभी उन सभी जगहों के लिए हम लोगों की मांग जो है, हमारी पूरी टीम जो है तैयार है, तत्पर है लड़ने के लिए।
माधव जी देखिए, एक हफ्ते के अंदर हिंदू पक्ष के खाते में दोहरी खुशी आई है। सबसे पहले ASI की सर्वे रिपोर्ट आई और उस दौरान ये साफ हो गया कि ज्ञानवापी कोई इस्लामिक स्ट्रक्चर नहीं है, बल्कि 1 2 नहीं 32 सबूत कुल मिले हैं। ASI ने 32 जो साइंटिफिक सबूत हैं वो दिए हैं, और उसके बाद वाराणसी की डिस्ट्रिक्ट कोर्ट ने व्यास जी के तहखाने में अब पूजा पाठ की इजाजत दे दी है। और बड़ी बात यह है कि इस ऑर्डर के आने के साथ ही जो लोकल एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन था वो भी काफी सक्रिय हुआ और उसने रातों रात यहाँ पर जो पूजा पाठ है वो कराई। तो कहीं ना कहीं हिंदू पक्ष के लिए जो जीत है, जो सफलता है, वो धीरे धीरे मिलती जा रही है, और यही कारण भी है कि हिंदू पक्ष बेहद उत्साहित दिख रहा है। अब इसके बाद आगे का जो रास्ता होगा वो यकीनी तौर पे कोर्ट के माध्यम से ही लड़ा जाएगा। अभी रास्ते को लंबा तय करना है, यहाँ के बाद फिर हाई कोर्ट के बाद सुप्रीम कोर्ट तक ये पूरा मामला जाएगा। लेकिन जिस तरीके से कल वाराणसी की डिस्ट्रिक्ट कोर्ट ने ये माना कि नहीं, वहां पर पूजा पाठ का अधिकार दिया जाए, क्योंकि मुस्लिम पक्ष लगातार ये कह रहा था कि जो पूरा केस है वो 1991 के वर्शिप एक्ट से बार्ड है। इसके अलावा मुस्लिम पक्ष बार बार ये कह रहा था कि ज्ञानवापी वक्फ बोर्ड की प्रॉपर्टी है, ऐसे में वहां पर पूजा पाठ की इजाजत नहीं दी जाती है। लेकिन वाराणसी की डिस्ट्रिक्ट कोर्ट ने इन दोनों थ्योरी को पूरे तरीके से नकार दिया, और न सिर्फ नकारा बल्कि हिंदू पक्ष की जो मांग है उस पर मुहर लगाते हुए यहाँ पर पूजा पाठ की इजाजत दी दी है। तो अब साफ तौर पे हो गया कि जिस तरीके से राम मंदिर के केस में हमने देखा था कि वहां पर सबसे पहले बाबरी मस्जिद का दरवाजा खोला गया था, वहां पर जो भगवान राम की मूर्तियां स्थापित की गई थी, यानी हिंदुओं के लिए एक प्रवेश द्वार खोला गया था। कुछ उसी तरीके से कल रात यानी 12 बजे का वो जो लम्हा होगा वो बेहद खास होगा, खासतौर से ज्ञानवापी केस में, क्योंकि अब ज्ञानवापी के लिए, अब ज्ञानवापी का जो मस्जिद है उसमें हिंदुओं के लिए एक तरीके से दरवाजा खोल दिया गया है। क्योंकि अभी तक जो श्रृंगार गौरी की पूजा की जो बात की जाती थी, वो जो श्रृंगार गौरी की जो मंदिर है वो ज्ञानवापी मस्जिद के बाहरी दीवार की तरफ था। लेकिन अब पहली बार ऐसा हो रहा है कि पूरे मस्जिद परिसर के अंदर ये पूजा हो रही है। और सबसे पहले हम आपको वो तस्वीरें भी दिखाते हैं कि देखिए, ये सामने ज्ञानवापी मस्जिद है, और इस मस्जिद के ठीक बाहर आप ठीक नीचे देखिए कि एक लोहे की लंबी सी ये बैरिकेडिंग है। कुछ इसी तरीके की बैरिकेडिंग नंदी यानी इस मस्जिद के ठीक अपोजिट साइड में जब आप जाएंगी, जहां पर काशी विश्वनाथ मंदिर का जो मूल मंदिर है वो स्थापित है, वहां पर नंदी की प्रतिमा स्थापित है, और नंदी की प्रतिमा के बाहर ही इसी तरीके से कुछ जो लोहे की बैरिकेडिंग जो आप सामने देख रहे हैं वहां पर बैरिकेडिंग की गई थी। लेकिन कोर्ट का आदेश आने के बाद से जो स्थानीय प्रशासन है उसने पूरे ऑर्डर को कंप्लायंस करते हुए उस बैरिकेडिंग को पहले कटवाया, और उसके बाद वहां पर छोटा लोहे का छोटा सा गेट बनाया, और उसी गेट के जरिए जो काशी विश्वनाथ ट्रस्ट के जो पुजारी हैं, इसके अलावा जो अन्य जो अधिकारी हैं, वो मस्जिद के अंदर दाखिल होते हैं। सबसे पहले वहां पर शुद्धिकरण किया जाता है, और उसके बाद जो मंदिर में जो खंडित मूर्तियां हैं, इसके साथ ही जो दीवारों पर तमाम जो देवी देवताओं के साथ जो उनकी ग्रह विग्रह की आकृतियां हैं, उनका विधिवत पूजा पाठ कराया जाता है और शयन आरती कराई जाती है। और इसके बाद सुबह से मंगला आरती, और उसके बाद जो पूजा पाठ का क्रम है वो शुरू हो गया। तो एक बड़ी जीत के तौर पे है, और इस जीत को सेलिब्रेट करने के लिए, खुशी मनाने के लिए जो हिंदू पक्ष के लोग हैं वो यहाँ पर पहुंच रहे हैं। और
Okay, quite incredible though that yesterday there is the order from the district court that the prayers which were stopped, by the way, without any written orders in 1993 by the Mulayam Singh government, the then Mulayam Singh government in Uttar Pradesh, will be resumed, and within 24 hours the grill that had been put up to stop the devotees from offering puja was removed, and already the prayers have resumed in the cellar of the Gyanvapi. The importance and the significance of this moment cannot be underlined enough. This will also be one of our big stories. So an action-packed Thursday, like we have been saying, the interim budget, Hemant Soren's production in court, and of course the resumption of prayers in Gyanvapi. All of these big stories right here on Times Now. Taking a very quick break. Thanks Harish and Ashutosh for joining us. Don't go anywhere. We are back in a couple of minutes on Times Now, India's election and politics news headquarters.
When journalism is led by integrity, and when experience meets passion, there is no scope for half-truths. When the noise drowns out the truth, and many lose sight of what is the real issue.
I ask the legitimate question and uncover the whole truth.
Don't tax the poor people who are using petrol, diesel to go to work or to send their children to school.
I give you the complete picture in black and white, not a colored opinion, facts that help you form your opinion.
The News Hour at 9. Weeknights at 9. Only on Times Now.
She asks tough questions like no other journalist.
आपके ऊपर तो कई घोटालों के भी आजकल आरोप लग रहे हैं। देश में सिर्फ एक बात की चर्चा है कि क्या बीजेपी राहुल गांधी से कर गई।
She takes on the masters of Indian politics like no one else can.
विपक्ष कम से कम उत्तर प्रदेश में ये कह रहा है कि आप हवा बना रहे हैं, निवेश कोई आया ही नहीं इस राज्य में। राहुल गांधी का कहना है कि देश में लोकतंत्र मरता जा रहा है, खतरे में है।
Because she speaks for you the way no one else can.
What about the charges against the government that this is a favored company by the government? How do you look at India on the world map of countries to watch out?
Because your voice must be heard, your questions answered above all else. Frankly speaking with Navika Kumar.
Can I have your attention please? क्या आप दिन की सही शुरुआत ढूंढ रहे हैं? I believe in an action-packed, fast-paced, agenda-setting start to the day. खबर सिर्फ दिखाना नहीं, असर होना भी जरूरी है. I'm Amita Badwa. I'm Pratibha. मैं हूँ शिखा मल्होत्रा and you're watching the Morning News Hour. Whenever news breaks, you will see us. Process it, analyze it, and broadcast it. After the spot reporters, we are the first responders. We are at the front line
of every news event.
We are situation analysts, raw, live, and unedited. Pure news, pure passion.
Times Now, action begins here.
When news is troubling.
They rented this house right here and 3 days later she was murdered.
When news is for common man.
We are asking you for the Aam Aadmi that why the proper checks and balances were not done, sir.
When news is for nation.
Right now I'm just few meters away from Pakistani post which is acting as launch pads for terrorists.
When news is exclusive.
We are reporting from few miles away from the line of actual control.
We report from ground zero. Times Now. Action begins here.
Explosive, exclusive, and beyond.
The show that gets you the inside track.
A deep dive into stories that matter.
Raising questions you won't ask.
Your voice is now our voice. Watch Blueprint with me, Meghna,
And Pranesh.
at 6:30 p.m. every weekday.
Only on Times Now.
When journalism is led by integrity, and when experience meets passion, there is no scope for half-truths. When the noise drowns out the truth, and many lose sight of what is the real issue.
I ask the legitimate question and uncover the whole truth.
Don't tax the poor people who are using petrol, diesel to go to work or to send their children to school.
I give you the complete picture in black and white, not a colored opinion, facts that help you form your opinion.
The News Hour at 9. Weeknights at 9. Only on Times Now.
She asks tough questions like no other journalist.
आपके ऊपर तो कई घोटालों के भी आजकल आरोप लग रहे हैं। देश में सिर्फ एक बात की चर्चा है कि क्या बीजेपी राहुल गांधी से डर गई।
She takes on the masters of Indian politics like no one else can.
विपक्ष कम से कम उत्तर प्रदेश में ये कह रहा है कि आप हवा बना रहे हैं, निवेश कोई आया ही नहीं इस राज्य में। राहुल गांधी का कहना है कि देश में लोकतंत्र मरता जा रहा है, खतरे में है।
Because she speaks for you the way no one else can.
What about the charges against the government that this is a favored company by the government? How do you look at India on the world map of countries?
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is the budget morning and yes, it's an interim budget. But therefore, it becomes even more important because this is the budget for the hat-trick for Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the 2024 election. Will there be sops? Will there be the Mary Poppins bag that will open with goodies coming out? Or is it going to be a very straight-faced, business-oriented budget? That's what the jury is out on. Just as all eyes are out on the interim budget of 2024 as Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman arrives in Parliament, ministers have also started trooping in. That's the big news at this time. Ahead of the cabinet meeting, ministers get into Parliament. Nifty and index open in the green before the interim budget, hoping for a good announcement and good business post-budget. Puja starts in Gyanvapi's Vyas Ji ka Tehkhana. After 31 years, devotees reach early morning after administration removes barricades for the puja to take place. As expected, AIMIM Chief Asaduddin Owaisi has now indulged once again in fear-mongering after court allows puja in the Gyanvapi's Vyas Ji ke Tehkhana. He says that this could be a repeat of December 6th event of 1992. Former Jharkhand Chief Minister Hemant Soren will be produced before an ED court today. Jharkhand CM was arrested yesterday. ED questioned him over 7 hours in connection with the land scam. Former Jharkhand Chief Minister Hemant Soren in ED custody shifted to a makeshift jail. BJP says it's now payback time. In a couplet posted on social media following his arrest, Hemant Soren wrote that life is a battle and he will fight every moment but not beg for compromise. Congress party calls ED action on Hemant Soren as part of the BJP's toolkit to intimidate non-BJP governments and sabotage democracy. Hours before interim budget, LPG price for 19 kg commercial cylinders hiked by ₹40. The commercial LPG cylinders will now cost 1,755 rupees. Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this Super Thursday broadcast. The traditional pre-budget activities have already begun. The Finance Minister and the Prime Minister have arrived in Parliament after the Finance Minister and her team have had a cup of tea with the head of the Consolidated Fund of India, the President of India. And they're now trooping in for a cabinet meeting, which will be the first look that the cabinet will have in the budget documents prepared by the Finance Minister. And there will be a briefing to all cabinet members. Markets have opened in the green. But first up, before we look at any deeper into what's happening in the budget, let me introduce my August panel this morning. Joining me to my right, Rajiv Mantri, Anand Ranganathan, scientist, economist. What are you today?
सत श्री अकाल, साइंस की तरफ से
साइंस की तरफ से हो. There's nothing scientific in the budget really, because it's an election budget, say many. On my left and quite literally is Dr. Mehrotra, economist, Prasenjit Bose, also economist, and of course our own money-making tip giver, Monica Hallan, personal finances. That's my first question, Monica. Kuch hoga taxes ka?
It seems difficult this time. It's an interim budget. A lot of the tax changes that Finance Minister had to do, she has already done in the past few budgets in terms of the new tax system and the old tax system. So I don't think the taxpayers can ask for anything this time. They cannot expect. They can ask for a lot. They cannot expect. The only thing I wish that she would do something is to get the people who are still not paying tax within the tax net. So that's my only
been a hope and
aspiration.
A prayer for the last 70 years.
Ongoing aspiration that please get people who do not pay taxes to share the burden that all of us here bear.
Well, if you were looking, Anand, at any tax breaks for the middle class, for the salaried class, well, Monica Hallan isn't giving us a good morning this morning.
Is my good friend Monica indicating that perhaps agricultural income would finally be taxed as it should be?
In a election year? No way.
Well, when you say election year, I've got a big breaking news update coming in on the internal meetings, and those visuals on your screen, ladies and gentlemen, is the Prime Minister walking into the new Parliament building, and that's him going towards the cabinet meeting that will be held with the cabinet colleagues of Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman. The Prime Minister there, a very business-like walk there. Can't make much out of whether he will actually bring out any goodies of that bag. But let me tell you, there have been a lot of meetings that have been done in the run-up to the budget. But joining us this morning is also friend, senior at one point, and now senior BJP leader, Shopan Das Gupta. Shopan, good morning to you. Any predictions that we are getting from you on what this budget could have? Populism is out of fashion, excuse me, as far as Narendra Modi is concerned. But do you think something for the middle classes may not be out of place ahead of the budget, ahead of the elections?
Look, this is an interim budget, a vote on account, which is, basically to say we continue like this till the new government is formed. And so the ship is chugging along very smoothly. I don't think there's any reason why you would want to disturb anything there. You might create more expectations, but that's about it. I mean, so it can be a question of arousing expectations of what can happen once the elections are over. But for the moment, I certainly don't see anything major happening as far as this budget is concerned. I see it literally in that sense, a purely routine administrative measure.
Okay, routine, nose to the ground. Well, going across to big breaking news coming in, and the information that we are getting from our sources that in the, I'm so sorry, just back from a round of COVID, so viewers just bear with me and my throat. Seem to be okay this morning, and but
you've beaten COVID yet again. 4th time, was it?
Yeah, that's the hat-trick election budget. But here I am, 4th time COVID beater. But Madhav Das Gopalakrishnan joining me live on this broadcast. Madhav, we understand the Prime Minister has given some directions, to the officials and the budget team. Take us through those internal meetings and what the Prime Minister's blueprint really was.
Well, this is very important news coming in, Navika, because as we all know in the past as well, the Prime Ministers do give a broad policy direction as far as budgets are concerned in terms of the government priorities, and that's why we look at it or call it Modinomics at least over the last 10 years. And the broad policy direction that has been given is that avoid any kind of profligacy. There's also been the broad direction that freebies are not to be given in the year 2024. That will come back to bite in the year 2029. The focus instead should be on growth. The focus should be on relief for the weak, and also at the same time on the delivery of the earlier announcements and schemes. That's the broad direction that we expect. Of course, as we all know, it is a vote on account, so in terms of any major policy breakthroughs, of course, are not expected. But also, of course, what is very significant is to just keep the momentum going of growth, and clearly at some level or the other ensure that the earlier announcements, the earlier schemes and policies are implemented. That's really the larger message going out.
Well, big one there. The Prime Minister's against any profligacy. He wants to go it straight and narrow. Implement what is there. No need to buy votes because if you make promises today and don't fulfill them at the end of the 5-year term, the BJP is, of course, assuming that they are winning the 2024 elections hands down. So the Prime Minister's direction is, keep promises to the realistic level. Anand, how do you read that?
Well, one thing is true about the Prime Minister, Modi ki guarantee, whatever he promises, he delivers. My problem is at what cost? When the Prime Minister says that there will be no distribution of freebies, can I please ask him what else is Kisan Samman Nidhi? Every year 70 to 75,000 crores is being spent on placating the farmers who are simply not productive enough. They are contributing only 13% to our GDP. At the same time, the greatest reforms ever seen in independent India were done by Modi. About the 3 farm reforms. They were in every political party's manifesto, down from communist to the Congress. But the moment Modi brought them on, they said these are black laws. He had to repeal it. And by repealing these farm laws, I'm afraid we have gone back at least a decade, because we were catapulting towards a middle income economy. And now, because of the repeal, which in my view was an anti-national act, I'm afraid the view is very
Modi
stark.
anti-national, Rajiv Mantri, a little drastic, do you think, for Thursday morning?
No, so the repeal of the farm laws was quite disappointing. But I disagree with Anand that...
Is it anti-national or not?
No, I would not call it anti-national. But I disagree with Anand that the welfare that we have seen has somewhere caused a physical stress or something. I think we have seen it... we can disagree on the labels also. But I think the method by which we have achieved efficiency through digital platforms and direct benefit transfers, I think that has actually multiplied the effect of the same pool of welfare which was being delivered earlier. But now every rupee is reaching the specified beneficiary, and it's a very big force multiplier for those who are in the bottom 50% of the income group.
Okay, all right. Let's also take a look at what is it for Nirmala Sitharaman, Union Finance Minister. Well, let's look at the manner in which she's done. Some trivia. 1st February 2020, her budget speech was about 2 hours and 42 minutes. And she beat her own record of 2019 of 137 minutes. So that's a little bit of trivia. Let's also look at the fact that Nirmala Sitharaman is probably the second finance minister to do a 6 straight budget. The only one before her was Morarji Desai, and that was a long time ago. Sanjay Jha, Nirmala Sitharaman, 6th straight budget, straight and narrow, business oriented, growth, welfare. Those are the cornerstones of the budget. Not much wrong there. Would you want to compliment the Union Finance Minister, Sanjay Jha, suspended Congress leader, as I love to introduce you?
Yeah, Navika, I think it's interesting that both of us are students of the Gokhale Institute of Politics and Economics. So we will not indulge in rhetoric we will actually talk data points. Now,
if you're making it a precondition that everybody who comes out of Gokhale Institute of Politics and Economics should have the same view, then think again, Sanjay Jha.
No, by experience, I know that's not the case. But let me make 2 points very quickly, Navika. Number one, what is the data telling you? The data between 2014 to 24 of a government that came on the hype of development and growth is saying that the GDP average growth rate is just 5.9% over 10 years. And this is a government which will come and tell you, but we had the pandemic, the once in a lifetime medical crisis. But even the UPA had the Great Recession. Look at the UPA's growth rate, 7.8% between 2004 to 14. On pure data and growth comparisons, the UPA beats Modi's government hands down. So this entire hype over growth, I really don't understand where it comes from other than government propaganda. Point number two, very important. You mentioned Nirmala Sitharaman. I have said so on multiple channels. I remember she said, and she gave the corporate tax sector a break of 1,45,000 crores in terms of the tax incentive for jobs. 2019, that's an annual break to India Incorporated. And what was the logic given by Nirmala Sitharaman? It will create jobs and create new manufacturing investment. Where are the jobs? I have been talking and seeing in my multiple business connections to the institute where I did my MBA from, the placements are down. Urban placements are down from regular, popular MBA schools. India has a serious job crisis. So bottom line, if you look at the growth, Navika, it is a K-shaped growth. I'm sure we'll have a lot of time to talk about it.
Growth is not there. At least Sanjay Jha can't see it. Hands going up in the studio. But Shravan Dasgupta, would you want to respond to Sanjay Jha before I get in others in the studio?
Well, all that Sanjay Jha has said so far is that the UPA people were inept communicators, that they had the best thing going for it, but unfortunately they misled the government, they misled the people into believing it's a dysfunctional government, etc. And here is Modi, who's an absolute super communicator who does badly but tells people that it's feel-good time and everyone feels good. So there's something wrong in the way in which we approach our thing. I think what's happening today is that, yes, there are issues which need to be addressed. It's always, the reforms is always an incomplete process. And what is significant is that the desire of the government to actually proceed in a steady manner without getting into too much adventurism, that is the hallmark of the thing post-COVID. And I think COVID was really, in one way, a great salutary lesson insofar as that a certain measure of cautiousness which had preceded it enabled us to actually tackle this far more successfully and without the gratuitous advice of people who said, print money, give it to people, and that's how you will do well. Now today what is necessary is that the environment for creation of jobs, for greater investment, etc., is there. And the point is not in any way to rock the boat, but to allow it to chug along smoothly, which is necessary. So we can have people flaunting their educational qualifications and saying, this is terrible. But, I think the reality is quite opposite, and I think I would advise the Congress party and its educated people to go to the people and say the UPA was better and the Modi government has been a flop in all counts.
Well, okay, all right, there's action here.
Yeah.
Open the cage. Who's going first? Yes.
Okay.
If you Senior.
Yeah, and then
Seniors
first.
First. Yeah. Seniors first.
No. So I'll take off where Sanjay Jha left off. You see, Sanjay Jha was including the growth rate for the period after COVID broke. I won't do that. I'll be trying. I think it's worth doing that. because after all, there was a global economic crisis in between, but I will do it only till early 2020. And the evidence is so clear that the growth rate is much slower even until early 2020. Because between 2004 and 14, the growth rate was 7.8% per annum. And under the Modi government, it has been until early 2020, 6.4% per annum at factor prices and 6.6% per annum at market prices.
Base effect?
So no, what do you mean base effect? The factor, let's also look at the quality of the growth. We've been told that the quality of the growth has been great.
Just interrupting you for a second, because those are visuals coming in, and a very nice personal moment between President Murmu and Finance Minister Dahi Chini there. Monica, a little warm gesture there from Rashtrapati.
It looks very nice, but I want to join that debate back where Sanjay was talking of growth, and we are talking of growth in UPA versus NDA, which is fine. So growth is good, but at what cost? So I have some inflation numbers. The UPA inflation number was 8% per year on an average, and the NDA is 5.2. And this 5.2 inflation comes on the back of an inflation targeting central bank, which has to keep it in a band of 2 to 6. Now, inflation is the biggest tax on the poor. So the poor are the ones who suffer the worst when you have high periods of inflation. So after the 2008 farm loan waiver of some 60,000 crore, 2010, we hit inflation of, I think, 10 to 12%, 13%. That is a horrible, inflation is a one-time hit. After that, it just
there's no compensation. There's no compensation for that.
At what cost?
Even growth needs to be. You didn't allow me to speak. Santosh, let me have my say. No, I think we should also on this growth debate. It is important just not to discuss on the GDP numbers per se. What causes growth? If you compare that. Investments cause growth. The investment record under the 10 years of UPA was better than the 10 years of NDA. Real investment growth. Totally. The manufacturing. Yes.
NPAs.
Check your own data.
Were they investments or NPAs?
Rajiv Mantri says they were NPAs, not investments. Well, it's a full-scale war in the Times Now studios.
Don't divert it. Manufacturing, investment.
Please, it's a full-scale war. And while I sort out this war, we'll take a short commercial break.
I'm highly amused to see.
And commercial breaks are not a tax.
You check your numbers.
I'm just plucking numbers out of thin.
You check your own economic review.
What are you plucking?
Like Prasenjit Numbers.
No, your own government and the
it's not your own government. You come from a different government.
No, I mean I'm saying that he's an Indian. It's his own Indian government.
Well, it's all happening here in the studios.
Economic
while things cool down a bit, we'll take a short break. We'll be back in just 2 minutes. Don't go anywhere because the debate is just hotting up.
When journalism is led by integrity, and when experience meets passion, there is no scope for half-truths. When the noise drowns out the truth, and many lose sight of what is the real issue.
I ask the legitimate question and uncover the whole truth.
Don't tax the poor people who are using petrol, diesel to go to work or to send their children to school.
I give you the complete picture in black and white, not a colored opinion, facts that help you form your opinion.
The News Hour at 9. Weeknights at 9, only on Times Now.
She asks tough questions like no other journalist.
आपके ऊपर तो कई घोटालों के भी आजकल आरोप लग रहे हैं। देश में सिर्फ एक बात की चर्चा है कि क्या बीजेपी राहुल गांधी से कर गई।
She takes on the masters of Indian politics like no one else can.
विपक्ष कम से कम उत्तर प्रदेश में ये कह रहा है कि आप हवा बना रहे हैं, निवेश कोई आया ही नहीं इस राज्य में। राहुल गांधी का कहना है कि देश में लोकतंत्र मरता जा रहा है, खतरे में है।
Because she speaks for you the way no one else can.
What about the charges against the government that this is a favored company by the government? How do you look at India on the world map of countries to watch out?
Because your voice must be heard, your questions answered, above all else. Frankly speaking, with Navika Kumar.
Can I have your attention, please? क्या आप दिन की सही शुरुआत ढूंढ रहे हैं? I believe in an action-packed, fast-paced, agenda-setting start to the day. खबर सिर्फ दिखाना नहीं, असर होना भी जरूरी है. I'm Mamita Vadva. I'm Pratibha. मैं हूँ शिखा मल्होत्रा and you're watching the Morning News Hour. Whenever news breaks, you will see us. Process it, analyze it and broadcast it. After the spot reporters, we are the first responders. We are at the front line
of every news event.
We are situation analysts, raw, live and unedited. Pure news, pure passion.
Times now, action begins here.
When news is troubling.
They rented this house right here and 3 days later she was murdered.
When news is for common man.
We are asking you for the Aam Aadmi that why the proper checks and balances were not done, sir.
When news is for nation.
Right now, I'm just few meters away from Pakistani post which is acting as launch pads for terrorists.
When news is exclusive.
We are reporting from few miles away from the line of factual control.
We report from ground zero. Times now. Action begins here.
explosive, exclusive and beyond.
The show that gets you the inside track.
A deep dive into stories that matter.
Raising questions you won't ask.
Your voice is now our voice. Watch Blueprint with me, Meghna,
And Pranesh.
at 6:30 p.m. every weekday.
Only on Times Now.
When journalism is led by integrity and when experience meets passion, there is no scope for half-truths. When the noise drowns out the truth and many lose sight of what is the real issue.
I ask the legitimate question and uncover the whole truth.
Don't tax the poor people who are using petrol, diesel to go to work or to send their children to school.
I give you the complete picture in black and white, not a colored opinion, facts that help you form your opinion.
The News Hour at 9.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and the last 30-minute countdown to the national interim budget of 2024 is coming up. But through this 2-minute break, there have been wars being fought in this studio, and serious wars. Is there welfare that Modi government has delivered over the last 10 years? Yes or no? Is there growth that has been delivered? Yes or no? Is it better than UPA or is it worse than UPA? That's been the debate all about. But let's come back to the moot point. The moot point is the Prime Minister said there are 4 classes: farmers, women, youth, and I think the downtrodden. Four castes, and that's where things are going to be. Have these classes been delivered anything, or is Prasenjit and Sanjay Jha and Dr. Mehrotra right, Anand Ranganath?
So let me just give the numbers, like my good friend Sanjay likes to say. 100 million gas connections have been made in the last 9 years. 120 million toilets have been constructed. Each toilet has helped the family where the toilet has been made to the tune of 51,000 rupees in saving health costs. 260 million health insurance cards have been distributed. 40 million homes have been made. Right now, more than 120 million people are living in the houses constructed by Narendra Modi government. 250 million people have been pulled out of multi-dimensional poverty. If these are not hard things that this government has done, I would like others to dispute this data.
Response.
Dispute
Dr.
it.
Mehrotra. Dispute the data.
Of course, we are going to dispute the data.
Toilets have not been made.
No. Who's saying that the toilets have not been
They have
made?
been.
Sir, may I now? I
Please,
didn't interrupt you when you were speaking, if I may, sir. So, yes, the toilets have been made, and I think the government needs to be congratulated on that. There is just no question about that. The first thing is, let's not spread disinformation about it. 33%, as the National Family Health Survey said, still don't have toilets. Point one. Point two, those toilets, are they being used or not? I think that data is still available. Let me go back to the larger, bigger point that you were asking.
Has there been growth? Has there been welfare?
Yes, I'm coming to that.
Okay. Tell me these answers to these two.
Lower growth and as far as
lower welfare and lower jobs.
And
please explain the base effect. Professor, explain it to the people who don't know. What is the base effect? Tell me.
If you keep pumping me with questions without my even completing a sentence, then I can't.
Growth and welfare. Growth and welfare.
No, first let me answer the real wages. The inflation, I think, has been flaunted at us forever and ever. Yes, the inflation rate under the UPA was higher under the NDA, no question. However, ma'am, the real issue is, were real wages rising then and are they rising now? They were rising systematically over that 10-year period. Data shows so, and real wages have been constant of falling in every sector, whether it's in agriculture, industry, services, or construction.
Rajiv Mantri.
That's why.
I have long held that whatever credit you are trying to give the UPA government actually goes to the Rao and Vajpayee era of reforms. The UPA government was just there to catch the ball when the ball came towards them. That's all. They don't. What were the inputs to reforms? What did the Manmohan Singh government do in the first?
No, hold on. Why did?
It was the CPM and the left front which blocked all the liberalization measures. Every single one of them.
Sorry, sir. Rao's growth rate was 6%.
Professor, Rao and Vajpayee. Dada, 1 second. Let me give you another data. Dada, please. You know, when the UPA came to power in 2004, I remember. I wasn't, that young, right? The BSE Sensex was 2,500 and the communists were supporting the government. They said stock market bhaad mein jaye. This was the sentence used. Right now, can you please tell me what is the Sensex right now today? I'm asking you. How much is it?
They lead the state to waste over 30
Is it 60,000? Is it 70,000?
Is it anybody's?
Just a sentence.
Is it anybody's case that there has been no development, no growth, no welfare?
No, nobody can say that.
Monica, you're saying that they've fallen short of everything. Sab kuch luta diya.
Just allow me.
Navika, I will just
Monica coming in.
So I have data from the tax department which is saying that over a 9-year period ending in 2021, the income cohort between 5.5 to 25 lakh has grown year on year at about 20% average.
Correct.
Year on year, over a 9-year period, what we call the middle income, lower middle income group, 5.5 to 25 lakh has grown 20% year on year. You know, so there has been a whole cohort which has benefited.
More than half don't pay taxes.
Yeah, you see, you are looking at the goalpost.
Do not pay taxes.
You do not dispute
उनका सुने आप मेरा भी सुन लीजिए हम भी डेटा का ही बात
Dispute the data.
Yeah, I am disputing. I am not disputing what you say.
Exactly.
You are not disputing.
The problem is that most people in our country don't pay income tax. They don't even file returns. They are in the informal sector.
They have increased.
No, they are not increased.
All right. 1 minute. Shopanda, let me get you in. Shopanda, here.
Avika, you need to get me in.
Yes, Sanjay Jha, absolutely. After Shopan, I'm coming to you. But Shopanda, there's a question that has been raised here. They don't dispute any of the numbers. Yeah. Whether it is the number of gas connections, whether it is the number of Jan Dhan accounts, whether it is the number of toilets, whether it is the increase of income in the slums, mentioned by Monica. They don't dispute anything, but yet they dispute that there is growth or there is welfare that has really outdone the previous governments. Please respond to this criticism, despite the fact that the figures are on Modi's side.
Well, No. Figures are not on Modi. They are not. See, I think a very classic example which we heard just now was that so much toilets have been built, the Shauchalaya program. But they say, well, 33% is still unbuilt. There are 33% people who still have to have open air defecation. And it's also said that, okay, even the ones which are built, are they using it? Now, unless there is a suggestion that a large measure, a large significant section of India's population has developed permanent constipation, I think I cannot make out how these sort of surveys saying how these
Sanjay Jha, is it permanent constipation that the left wing is suffering?
Complete authoritarian
ignorance masquerading as a joke. There are surveys.
Everybody has a right to make a
but
quip,
you are not
my
making.
friend. You just spoke.
No, you didn't
said
allow me to.
permanent constipation. Sanjay Jha, please respond.
Navika, let me tell you that 83% of India's labor, urban, rural, agriculture labor, do people know this? That over the last decade, their real incomes are actually not just stagnant, they could be coming down. The point I think Mr. Mehrotra was making, 83% of India. Swapan Das Gupta can indulge in his verbal diarrhea, and that doesn't make any sense. He's only doing hollow rhetoric. He has not issued a single data point because he doesn't know. The truth is this government...
Monica Alan, Sanjay Jha.
I'll give the data points.
Sanjay Jha has countered your datas.
Gave data.
Yeah, so on taxpayers, he says rural workers are not getting. And meanwhile, those visuals are of Nirmala Sitharaman coming out after the cabinet meeting, after she's briefed all her cabinet colleagues. And now it's the countdown to going to Lok Sabha to present. We'll wait for that. But Monica, yes.
You know, there is one, we can play this your data versus my data. So I have one SBI research wing data, which is saying that the individual's weighted mean income has risen from 3.1 lakh to 11.6 lakh over this last 9-year period. So I don't know, we can play the data. The individual,
taxpayer. How many
individual in the country.
So the taxpayers, they are a hopeless minority. The bulk of the people of our country don't pay taxes because they are so poor. So they don't even cross that threshold.
Now 6% of the
आप तो बहुत बोल रहे हैं सर मुझे नहीं आप बहुत बार बोल रहे हैं मुझे थोड़ा सा एक बात कहने दीजिए.
What is your point?
Yeah, my point is that look.
So you don't dispute her numbers?
No. She is quoting income tax numbers. I am saying most people in our country don't pay tax. So if you look at their incomes, that you have to look at the labor's PLFS
survey.
Survey.
Yes.
That gives the real wages. The nominal wages and the real wages and the employment figure. The employment figure is showing that the biggest bulk of the employment, including of women, this Nari Shakti that is being talked about, is in the informal sector.
Yes.
Formal sector jobs are not growing
for 20 years.
So it is not only.
I can show you the increase in the last 10 of the number of people who are getting wages below 100 and the number of people who are getting wages below 200 rupees a day. I can tell you the numbers.
And the overall numbers?
Yeah, the overall numbers I've already told you the wages.
If those involved in the informal sector have grown several X times, and so the number below the 100 will also grow, no?
No, that's not the point. Why should it? You are telling me everyone's growing.
Can I please make 2 points, Professor?
Please, sir.
Yes, thank you. Now, before I come to the numbers that Prasenjit Daya said, I just want, because this I have been crying out for 4 years. as scientists, you can send stuff to Mars, but as economists, and both of you are exalted economists, you can't tell me during the period 2004 to 2014 how many millions of jobs were created every year per ready labor force. Can you give me the number?
7.5 million non-farm jobs were created every year for 10 years. As compared to that, until 2020, this government created only 2.5 million non-farm jobs. 1/3 of the non-farm jobs. This is Sarkari data. Sorry.
One second. No.
See, Navika ji.
There's a counter coming.
Can I make a point? So, when you say that 7.5 million jobs were created every year from 2004 to 2014, that's what you're saying?
Correct.
Non-farm jobs,
Correct.
right? And you are saying that only 2.5 million jobs were created equivalent during 2014 to 2024? Is that what you're saying?
Not 24, I said, until 2020.
So,
and since COVID, I'm
okay, pre-COVID.
To be fair,
right?
I'm being fair to the government.
No, one
and
second.
post-COVID, then it all come ho gaya
every year, Modi was generating 5 million less jobs than the UPA was every year.
Well, Modi
right?
means
correct.
what?
Correct.
You're saying that's
right, sir.
The Indian economy.
Which data, from where have you plucked this, that Modi was generating 5 million less jobs than what Sonia Gandhi was
yes,
during 2014 to this?
And the UPA government forgot to tom this
during
their tenure. That's a big one. Well, I need to take a short break, but when I come back, I'm coming straight back to Shopan Das Gupta to respond to all the charges that have been made against the Modi Sarkar. Short break, back in 90 seconds.
When journalism is led by integrity and when experience meets passion, there is no scope for half-truths. When the noise drowns out the truth and many lose sight of what is the real issue.
I ask the legitimate question and uncover the whole truth.
Don't tax the poor people who are using petrol, diesel to go to work or to send their children to school.
I give you the complete picture in black and white, not a colored opinion, facts that help you form your opinion.
The News Hour at 9. Weeknights at 9. Only on Times Now.
She asks tough questions like no other journalist.
आपके ऊपर तो कई घोटालों के भी आजकल आरोप लग रहे हैं। देश में सिर्फ एक बात की चर्चा है कि क्या बीजेपी राहुल गांधी से डर गई।
She takes on the masters of Indian politics like no one else can.
विपक्ष कम से कम उत्तर प्रदेश में ये कह रहा है कि आप हवा बना रहे हैं, निवेश कोई आया ही नहीं इस राज्य में। राहुल गांधी का कहना है कि देश में लोकतंत्र मरता जा रहा है, खतरे में है।
Because she speaks for you the way no one else can.
What about the charges against the government that this is a favored company by the government? How do you look at India on the world map of countries to watch out?
Because your voice must be heard, your questions answered, above all else. Frankly Speaking with Navika Kumar.
Can I have your attention please? क्या आप दिन की सही शुरुआत ढूंढ रहे हैं? I believe in an action-packed, fast-paced, agenda-setting start to the day. खबर सिर्फ दिखाना नहीं, असर होना भी जरूरी है. I'm Mamita Badwa. I'm Pratibha. मैं हूँ शिवरा मल्होत्रा and you're watching the Morning News Hour. Whenever news breaks, you will see us. Process it, analyze it, and broadcast it. After the spot reporters, we are the first responders. We are at the front line
of every news event. We are situation analysts, raw, live, and unedited. Pure news, pure passion.
Times Now. Action begins here.
When news is troubling,
They rented this house right here, and 3 days later, she was murdered.
When news is for common man.
We are asking you for the Aam Aadmi that why the proper checks and balances were not done, sir.
When news is for nation.
Right now, I'm just few meters away from Pakistani force which is acting as launch pads for terrorists.
When news is exclusive.
We are reporting from few miles away from the line of factual control.
We report from ground zero. Times now. Action begins here.
Explosive, exclusive and beyond.
The show that gets you the inside track.
A deep dive into stories that matter.
Raising questions you won't ask.
Your voice is now our voice. Watch Blueprint with me, Meghna.
And Pranesh.
At 6:30 p.m. every weekday.
Only on Times Now.
When journalism is led by integrity and when experience meets passion, there is no scope for half-truths. When the noise drowns out the truth,
There is no other way.
Are we lynching each other or will we call truce for a minute? Okay, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Countdown to the budget, but Swapan Dasgupta, even during the break, I just thought that it would be difficult to be an umpire to the right wing versus the left wing right here in the studio. So people say that smokes and mirrors is what the growth and welfare measures that have been offered by the Modi Sarkar in the last 10 years. And they say that no structural changes have happened. In fact, fewer jobs and lesser wages is the hallmark of the Modi Sarkar. Please counter the charges at you.
Well, I think there's a case of mistaken identity here, because I think that I get a feeling that the statistics which are being touted around by certain people allegedly belonging to the left seems to be statistics for the state of West Bengal rather than for the Union of India. But let that be. I think this whole notion of false consciousness, which is a hallmark of the left, of believing that everything else, the whole world is a bunch of fools and only they have the repository of things. Now, when we are talking in terms of a growth rate the debate is whether the growth rate is going to be 7% or 7.6% or somewhere in between. When we are talking in that range, here for people to suggest that we are doing pathetically, perhaps worse than Pakistan, or maybe at the same level as Afghanistan, is to my mind pure anecdotal evidence.
Swapan, no forward idea, please.
That the
no
India
forward idea.
of 2024 is changed exponentially from the 2014, which Modi government inherited. And if you can't see that, then I think you will meet the fate of Sanjay Jha, who's left partyless, rudderless, and without a cause today.
Response, Sanjay Jha.
Yeah. Let me tell you the truth. Swapan talked about constipation and he indulges in verbal diarrhea. I'll repeat that for the benefit of your viewers. I'm going to give you data here. Data. Does Swapan Dasgupta know how many people, affluent people,
undergraduate,
the avocado and toast elite that Mr. Modi's government loves are leaving India, Swapan? If India was such a great destination, prominent Indians with business and talent and education would not...
Name the second.
Yep, 1 minute. Calm down. Let me finish. Point number 2. How much has your government spent on education and health, Swapan Dasgupta? Despite the pandemic, your government is spending less than 2% on health. Hang your heads in shame. How much can you woo and, serenade the rich and the famous? Think of India's poor. You might win election, but you might also lose them. Remember that. Truth comes to bite. Point number 3. How are we doing in terms of people who are unemployed?
All right, counters coming in. Sanjay Jha, Anand Ranganathan's asking you, are toilets being made for
Ambani? I mean, is Mukesh Ambani going to the toilets being made? Is Adani being given the Ayushman health card? What are we talking about? Is Nita Ambani been given a free cylinder out of the 100 million gas connections? What else? If it, sir, please, I did not interrupt you. Secondly, here are, when Professor is saying only 2.5 million jobs were created per year under Modi till 2020, 15 million jobs created across 9 sectors under Modi government. I don't know where he's getting his data from. I'm just surprised and shocked. And the Sena, please,
No.
for the